everybody, it's Anna. Welcome back, and sorry it has been a while. I've been busy with school, but I had a short reprieve right before exams, so I'm making this video. Hopefully I'll be bringing you guys more content soon, as I have 7 more speed draws done. They just have to be edited and voiced over. I finished this project most recently and was so excited to show it off, so I decided to start with this one. I've been working on this one since before my last upload, and I spent a grand total of 60 hours on it. I initially decided to only do the first part of the That's Life animation meme, but after wrapping up, I feel like I want to do the whole thing. We will see if I ever come through on that, but for now, consider this only part 1. You will see a lot of flipping back and forth and tracing and overlaying. This is because I struggle a lot with facial consistency, especially in Ibis Paint. I draw all of this with my finger, and I'm usually pretty zoomed in on my drawings. I wanted to keep her pretty consistent, except for her posing and expressions. I felt like this was good practice for expressions, as I have a lot of room to grow. I drew 6 images of Riptide that are chronological snapshots of her life. Puppet is when she is first falling in love with Celine, Popper is when Riptide loses her arm and mother to Celine, and Pirate is right before the campaign starts when she's floating ship to ship for work. Poet is a bit of a skip in, as I felt this scene fit best. It is Riptide asking out another player character at a grand political ball we were at. I will expand more on the context of the scene during my speed draw of Riptide's ballroom outfit. Pawn is after Riptide and her new crew were attacked by Celine, causing Riptide to lose her arm and I believe some more crewmates. Riptide is so angry at how weak she feels, she's approached by a demon make a deal. This is when she begins to multi-class as a warlock, and what we call Riptide begins. That will also be elaborated upon at some point, as I do not have a redraw prepped for that yet, but it is on my list. The final drawing is King during Riptide's wedding. She's a collection of reeds, lilies, and other water-based flowers. These drawings would inspire some new features I wanted to include on Riptide. Crooked nose from poor healing, and her lip not healing entirely, causing some of her teeth being exposed. This one isn't a new feature, as I think either all of my redraws or all of my Riptide drawings include this detail, but she has a heart in the reflection of her eye. Riptide early on drank a love potion on accident and fell for a player character. Any drawings of her taking place after this incident or before it being removed, she has a heart highlight in her eyes. I realized later into this drawing that I have been drawing Riptide with a long nose compared to the rest of her face, which isn't a feature I really envisioned her with, and was more of an issue of proportioning on my end, so I go back and make her nose a bit shorter. I initially did not plan for the animation to start with the wave shot. It was just supposed to be the 6 drawings, but when I prepared to upload it, I wanted to add a little more to it and added the opening wave animation before the drawings. It didn't take long, but it was an actual bit of animation I added, and it was a touch that made me very happy. I think that kind of inspired me to do more of the animation at some point. That and the place the animation ends doesn't feel very natural. I also did not initially plan to have backgrounds, but I felt the space was very empty, so I decided to go all in. I worry about making my speed drawings too long, so they are often too fast for me to give narration directly relating to what's happening on screen because it shifts a lot, so let me know if you prefer this type of speed drawing or a slower speed drawing with a more matched voiceover. In my first drawings of Riptide, I wanted to give her long braided hair, but I thought her having loose wavy hair was better entirely for the pun of wavy. Her hair was still really long in these first drawings, but I found myself always making her hair much shorter when I was drawing during the campaign, so I decided to incorporate this all into Puppet, Popper, and Pirate. I gave her my original concepts braid for Puppet, her loose long hair for Popper, and her mid-length hair for Pirate. During the campaign, she experiences an identity crisis after a loss and cuts a bunch of her hair off, and she keeps this pixie for the rest of the campaign. In Popper, I decided to add Celine's silhouette over Riptide to feed that feeling of ominousness, though I'm not sure how noticeable that is. I spent a lot of time on her arm and trying to think of what injuries were appropriate and how much blood would flow and stain her shirt, and I'm overall very proud of how that turned out. Pirate is based on my first drawing of Riptide with the exception of her hair. The outfit and look is ripped directly from that era of Riptide. I think in her backstory, I wrote that she masked her depression by drinking and being charismatic, but I didn't think that transitioned well. I wish I gave her more of a hopeful expression, but I think her mask being dropped for the camera is beneficial for the short-form storytelling I am using. I don't have much to say on Poet. I have a few drawings of her in her ball gown, so I don't want to expand on it too much. Poet is also ironically not a very accurate name for this scene, as in the original scene, Riptide had failed a con roll when drinking and threw up all over herself. Additionally, she wears a ring that gives her shark teeth, and when she takes it off, they all begin to fall out. So she took her ring off soon before she threw up, so she's kind of expelling teeth as well. Her PC love interest takes her outside to throw up and take a breather, and Riptide asks them out then, covered in teeth and vomit. I like to think this drawing is probably how Riptide thinks this went down because her memory's pretty spotty on that night. Also, I realize I forgot to add star detailing to her dress, but that might honestly be for the best because I no longer have any idea of what constellations I used where, and the inconsistencies would drive me insane. For Pawn, I really want to incorporate the demon she made a deal with, Cax. However, I felt like that would interrupt the visual flow of the animation, so I decided to incorporate some of their traits onto Riptide. Cax was a four-eyed, four-armed goat demon who was super friendly but fed on Riptide's rage. I decided to add their second set of red eyes and their horns as this weird glowing shape around Riptide to represent their influence over her. This was a creative liberty, as no such thing happened in the campaign, but I felt like it would be fun to add. I was also going to add their arms grabbing onto Riptide from behind, but that possessiveness feels out of character for Cax, and I also struggled to draw hands, so I cut it. Additionally, if you're curious about the burns, I believe right before or right after the Selene fight, the ship was attacked by a clockwork dragon made by the BBEG. Riptide took one very, very bad hit trying to save her ship's captain and quartermaster, and just got fried. For King, Riptide and her love interest are wearing each other's colors at the wedding. Her partner's in blue and her in purple. I decided to give her a cape, and I think she's proud of how far she's come, and her finally letting go of her past, which is why she keeps her new arm on display, and uses her cape to cover her flesh arm. In previous drawings, she's always had the same banged up prosthetic, poorly taken care of, hastily patched up. While she gets her new arm while she's still on her vengeance quest technically, I think it symbolized her having to let go. I put a lot of consideration into the flowers she had, but did not take notes, so I only remember lilies and water reeds, unfortunately. Here's where I'm at in the animation.
I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn, and a king.
Thank you all for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.